Dear students, good morning. Today we have described about the questions asked the examinations on the University Rajiv Gandhi University Health and Sciences. This is the second year semester exam when B.Sc students B.Sc nursing degree examinations was held on 16th December 2025. In these questions, there are this is applied biochemistry. It's a sections B portion, QP code 1780. And in this entire questions paper, there are two portions. One is applied biochemistry, and another one is applied nutrition and dietetics. That is called the sections A. At first, we are describes about the applied biochemistry, that is the sections B, and this is whole questions, and both of sections completely. One is 3 hours, and each sections contain 25, and this another sections contain 50 marks. That is the applied nutritions, and overall we have to complete it durations 3 hours in this questions. At first, now we have to describe about the applied biochemistry sections B questions. At first, 1, 2 and 3. There are 3 groups. One is short essay, short answer, that is called the short questions, and multiple choice. And we go through these short answers. Describe briefly about the type of glucose tolerance, GTT, and name the different lipoproteins and mention their importance, properties and role. In another one, this is the define plasma protein, explain the functions of plasma protein. Another short answer, that is the name the bases produced by the body. And another one is what are the laboratory finding in the case of obstetric jaundice, and what is the clinical significance of uric acid in our body. Next, another one is multiple choice questions, that is called the multiple choice questions is name the enzyme that hydrolyze sucrose. Enzyme activity is commonly expressed, and the normal pH of urine varies between the helper T cells have surface antigen. They are the whole questions. We so this PDF, and at first I am going through the objective questions regarding multiple choice questions when asked the examinations. This the first question is enzyme that hydrolyze the sucrose. The answer is invertase. Why it is called the invertase? Invertase. This the answer is invertase. Answer is invertase. The answer is invertase. The enzyme hydrolyze sucrose into component. There are two enzymes. One is split up. Another one is very important compound, that is the glucose, and another one is fructose. This is the enzyme which split two kind of product in the hydrolyzes sucrose. This is the answer. Is that clear? Next, next question is the enzyme activity is commonly expressed. This is the K unit, cattle unit, international unit, and next is Somigi units. The answer is international units. The answer is international units. In this sections, enzyme activity is commonly expressed by which kind of international? There are international units, which SI units, and also it's the SI unit of enzyme. If we mention SI unit of enzyme, SI unit of enzyme, SI unit of enzyme, that is called the cattle unit. And the enzyme activity, there are both of them, there are different types. One is enzyme activity and yet the SI unit of enzyme. If you ask the questions SI unit of enzyme, that is called the cattle unit, and if the ask the question enzyme activity, both are different question, that is called the international unit. That's all. Next questions come to the normal pH of urine is varies about. The normal pH of urine is varies about. The option is 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, and 10 to 8 to 10. There's a maximums in the questions. There the answer is 6 to 8. The answer is 6 to 8. The varies normal pH of urine is varies between 6 to 8. 6 to 8. That's all. And another question is, the helper T cells have the surface antigen called. What we call, this is a very important question. T cell, the helper T cells have a surface antigen. The helper T cells have a surface antigen. What that is? This is called the CD4. This is called the CD4. There are two molecules. One is in the T cells. In the T cells, we go through there are two molecules. One is, they are the two subtypes of the T cells. One is T helper cells, one is TC cells. TC cells, the question is asks helper T cells, either CD4, either in another options they have to say this CD8 molecule. If we compare CD4 and CD8, this is called the helper T cells. If we ask the helper TC cells, in that questions they goes to CD8 cells. That's all. Through the short essay, describe briefly about the type of glucose tolerance test. This short answer questions, in this sections there are 3 questions. Each questions carrying 5 marks. There is a 3 equal to 3 into 5 equal to 15 marks total questions in short answers. How we describe? According to the time, we have 3 hours in sections A and B. Sections B is, that is applied. In the examinations, we have this time how to describe briefly in that kind of questions. Actually, this is very lengthy questions about the any kind of sections, types of glucose tolerant test. And briefly, we describe about the glucose tolerant test. What is the glucose tolerant test? In these sections, clearly mentioned, describe briefly about the types of glucose tolerant test. What does answers? The type of glucose tolerant test regarding this kind, let us describe about the answers. A glucose tolerant test is a diagnostic test used to assess the ability of the body to metabolize the glucose. What does mean? Metabolize the glucose. And in this case, we generally do about the test laboratories. This is diabetes cases. One is diabetes cases. Another one is in this test the type of glucose GTT. What is GTT? Then at first we goes to oral glucose tolerant test, OGT. Oral glucose tolerant test at first test, and this is the most commonly used to the patient. Thus the patient is give 75 gram of a glucose intake after overnight fasting, and the next fastings hours 1 and fastings hour 2 alternate hours have there, and another one normal glucose returns to normal within 2 hours using diagnostic diabetes mellitus patient especially impaired glucose tolerant test. This is another one. Another type is, and this is the first type is oral glucose tolerant test, and another type is intravenous glucose tolerant test. Another type is intravenous glucose tolerant test, IVGT. IVGTT. This is the another type of intravenous glucose tolerant test. This is the administered by the intravenously. That is the administered by intravenously. Used in patients is gastrointestinal disorder. This is the patient using gastrointestinal patients. This is the gastrointestinal patient. And another one is gastro glucose tolerant test. Another test is gastro glucose tolerant test, GGTT. Another one is GGTT. In these questions, that's all. Question is, that's all. We carries 5 marks and elaborate something detailing just slightly. Mainly there are 2 types, OGTT and IVGTT. Next, come to our next questions. Name different lipoproteins and mention their important properties and role. What is means lipoproteins? And the lipoproteins, at first we describe about lipoproteins. Lipo, there are 2 words. One is lipo and another one is proteins. Lipid contain proteins. What does means? That is lipid contain protein. We briefly describe it. At first, lipid contain proteins. The molecules proteins that transport lipid in blood plasma. What is main functions? That the transport lipid in blood plasma. Lipid in blood plasma. We have to describe, mention their important properties and role. There are many types of lipoproteins, that is we know about it. Very low density lipoprotein, VLDL, LDL low density lipoprotein, HDL high density lipoproteins. There is just many types of lipoprotein, we categorize them. हो गया. Next. हाँ अब चलने दे इसको, अब वो एडिट कर लीजिएगा ना, ठीक है. Now we come to next questions. Now it's a very important question is define plasma protein, explain the functions of plasma proteins. That's the basic questions in every university, entire the either B.Scs, either paramedical. That's the very common questions. What is plasma protein and explain the functions of plasma proteins. The proteins which carries in the blood plasma mainly synthesized by liver. This is the proteins which is a carry blood plasma mainly synthesized by liver. This is the liver. That's a very important point. This is a very important question asked in either long questions, either short questions. Same questions in this examinations. This question asked by in short answers. It's a carry 5 marks. The types of plasma proteins. Types of plasma proteins. Basically, in this albumin, fibrogen, globulin. There's a many 3 types. Basically, we categorize the types of 3. One is albumin, and another one is globulin, globulins, and fibrinogen. Another one is fibrinogen. And slightly describe all data abouts. Next, there's the functions and the asks explain the functions of plasma protein. What this means? There's a protein transport lipids, drugs and other materials. Then this is the proteins immunodefense proteins. This is the proteins buffering sections to maintain the blood pH and serves as the enzymes, that is called the properties of the plasmas protein. That's all. Next, come to the one of the next we go about the different kinds of completely we deals about the completely short answers questions briefly. This is the carry 6 marks. Another it's a short answers. Next, come to the bases produced by the body. Name the bases produced by the body. What is the bases produced by the body? This is the basically we ask the nitrogenous base produced by the body. What is the questions? Nitrogenous base. In these sections, this is the very important questions. This is the basic questions related to DNA, either nucleotide, either base pairs. This is the basics. And another in this chapter we describe one of the very important questions about nitrogenous base. What is nitrogenous base? In these sections we have noted adenine, ATGC. One is ATGC, adenine, thymine, guanisine, cytosine, guanine. This is a nitrogenous base. This is the base. We know about the detailing about the nitrogenous base. What is adenine? What is thymine? What is guanine? What is cytosine? In the case of RNA, we describe about the uracil. So entire these questions we discuss about the A, T, G, C, and in the case of uracil and what their properties. We go through them each and every one. That's all. In the nitrogenous base, we categorize purine, pyrimidine, nucleotide. All they was about nucleotide. peptide, purine, pyrimidines, purines contain, pyrimidines contain, that's all. Purines, ag, does the purines, nitrogenous base with all the purines is said as ag, and pyrimidines contain rest of the remaining, rest of the tc, thymine or cytosines, that's all. This is the, in the case of RNA we call uracil, we call uracil, that's all. Now come to our next questions. What is the clinical significance of uric acids? Yeah, either what are the laboratory finding in the case of obstructive jaundice? There's a very important questions ask the examinations, clinical significance of uric acids, and another one is what are the laboratory finding in the case of obstructive juice. The next questions we go through the what are the laboratory finding case in obstructive jaundice. The very important questions, because in these questions we go about the serum bilirubin, we go about the enzymes properties, we go about the urines, we talk about the stools. In these questions the obstetric jaundice, so obviously we little bit about describing all the factors, that is the enzymes, that the phosphatase, yani कि one is the another enzymes alkyline phosphatase, we go through them. Another one is, next question is, what is the clinical significance of uric acid in our body? There are clinical significance of uric in our body. In the clinical significance, uric acids, the goes to next questions. What is the clinical significance of uric acid in our body? The clinical significance of uric acid in our bodies is a purine metabolism. What does means? It's a purine metabolism. In this hyperuricemia, that is the case when the high level leads to gout, whereas urines contain, it means that the uric acids has unable, abnormal conditions are present in the body. That's all. It's a briefly about all that questions. Any students, please go through them. One of the best book I suggest is U Satyanarayana. Is a proper in this sections we detailing about the U Satyanarayana books is preferred for the biochemistry. One of the best book in nursing, especially is in nursing, and another books also in not for the student of biochemistry student, it's only for the medicals, yeah, paramedical students. We go deal about the U Satyanarayana books, and also refer as your classes notes, and any students have doubt, please mention the comments, like and subscribe. Thank you.